Hello, thank you for giving me this opportunity at daba to have this technical assessment. The assessment is meant to build an API for a payment wallet. This is supposed to allow users to create accounts, log into accounts, view their balance, transfer funds to other accounts of theirs, or to view transactions. And I'm meant to use GraphQL, Node.js, MongoDB, TypeScript, and Kafka. I'm required to implement a schema that would allow account creation, login, account balance viewing, transfer of funds, and transaction history viewing. I'm also supposed to build resolvers that would do these functionalities. Let me cut to the chase. I built this using Next.js, a Node framework, which is very, very good in enterprise applications particularly. And I'm going through the code. Let me just run you through the code. First and foremost, like I said, I'm using Next.js. So I decided to run the configurations, which are basically the GraphQL module and the Mongo module, and also the Kafka module. So here you are at the root of the application where that is being instantiated. Now then you have two modules, which is accounts and transactions. I also have entities, which you may be interested in. This is entities, basically two accounts with the following entities: ID, name, email, password, mobile number in case, balance, transactions, which is an array, and then token, which is nullable, just to pass in the authentication token for login purposes. And this is the dates of creation and updating. The transaction schema goes this way: ID, sender, which is an email. I have to extract the email from the schema of the account, and the recipient also, the amount to be transferred, the type of transfer, and then timestamp. Now I have the modules, which are where the action happens. In the module of the account, I have the JWT here, and then that takes care of authentication. In the resolver, I have queries to get accounts, all accounts, particularly for admin users, to get an account by email of the owner of the account, and also to get to create an account. This is to get balance actually, and this is to create an account. This is to log into the accounts. To create an account, you will need the DTO here, data transfer object, that confirms if the email is a valid email, and then if the account does not exist already. For logging in, you confirm it's a real email, and then confirm if the credentials are okay. What happens here, if I could quickly show you, in creating an account after validation is the actual creation, and this is what happens here. The account service literally creates your account by first of all validating that account. Here you validate, you hash the password, and then you create the account here. That's basically what that does. And then for logging in, which I was dabbling into earlier, for logging in, you get to validate the account here. Yeah, that's what I want to show you. So you validate the account here, find the account, match it to the password with Bcrypt. Here, Bcrypt is used here, and then you remove the password from the returned values so that you're not encoding that into the what you are sending as a login values. So that's basically about accounts. For transactions, I'm also bringing in the Mongo here, and then of course this is where the Kafka messages will be sent to the topics. So I need the Kafka module here. So what I did here is to have this transaction resolver that basically gives you queries to fetch accounts, find all accounts, and then to find a particular, find all transactions, find a particular transaction, and I have the guards here for authorizing that, okay, this person has a valid token and is not expired. The interesting thing here is the main part of the application is actually to transfer funds, which is where we are now. Here, what happens is actually that I verify that the person is authenticated with the token, and here I check to see if the person is the account owner. Otherwise, you return this error, only account owner is authorized, so that somebody else cannot move money from your account. I validate the inputs, and then here I check if the transaction exists. If it exists, that means it has been done. And there's a catch here. I realize that you may want to move the same amount of money repeatedly, but there is a 1 minute allowance that I put here so that you don't get to duplicate your account, transactions unintendedly. So I check for the last and the timestamp to see if it is more than a minute that you last moved the same amount. If you are moving a different amount, you can do that at the same time. But if it's the same amount, just to check that you're not doing the same thing by mistake or in an error. So I check and I tell you, oh, this is a transaction that has been done just less than a minute ago. Are you sure you want to wait? Yeah, are you sure you want to do this? After that, if that is clear, I validate both the sender and the recipient that they are valid account holders, and then if they're not found, you get this error. If they are found, you go ahead and validate the amounts. Is it more than 0? You can move 0 amounts. So if that correct, then I check to see if there's enough money in the account. That means the balance in that account can actually, or the sender can actually, is actually equal to higher than the amount that is about to be sent. Here, what I did here is to see, because there's just a provision for testing purposes, I'm allowing the owner of the account to fund that account. So if you are both the sender and the recipient, just for funding purposes, you are allowed. You don't check your balance. We assume that, okay, let's just fund your account just for testing purposes. And then this goes ahead. So what happens here is the transaction service actually creates the transaction here, and then here it updates the respective accounts of the transaction. So here, what happens is you have the model of the account that's made of transaction. So as it is created, I extract the name of the sender and recipient from the email that has been sent. The reason is when I tried using the name, but I realized that the name could be multiple names, with spaces in between, Kafka didn't accept that when I tried it, so I decided to use the email by taking the name from the email rather than having multiple names with gaps or white spaces. So I go ahead here and produce the message. I have a topic here that I've designated in the environment variable so that it can be, changed real time, at runtime, and then the format of the message and the transaction details. Then here, when that is done, I also update the accounts, the respective accounts with details of that account, because the sender and the recipient needs to have that record in their data. So here, I look at the debited balance. After moving money, it will definitely reduce, except you are the same person. So if you are the same person, I don't remove that money from your account. I just assume that you're funding it from wherever, from Jupiter or Mars, just a joke. But if you're not the sender, we remove it from your account. If you're the recipient, we credit your account, and then we look at your transaction history and we update it with that particular transaction. Here, this is actually the actual update. So this is basically what happens here. So like I said, the transaction resolver does everything that is required. I think there's a place here where I have a test for Kafka to test the implementation, to see if it goes through, just in case we want to debug and say, is everything all right? Just to debug and see if everything is all right, then there's no reason why this should not always go through when you make a transaction. Thank you. And that's it about the code. Okay, I mean, let me just touch this once and for all, because I want to come back to it. This is the consumer app that I decided to run to more or less consume the messages. This is a microservice, and it doesn't expose an endpoint. It just listens in on these topics. This is the test topic. As you can see here, I have a default just in case it's not passed in the environment variable, and then this is the real fund transfer topic. So these two topics are what the application listens to drop the messages on the console as required. Now, so this is within this app, and and the documentation, I think I should show you that on GitHub. Documentation is here. These are examples, of my interaction with Kafka UI, and then of course the Docker instance is running. So I decided to, this is self-explanatory. I decided to use Docker to make it easy for you to just check out the application in real time with minimal configurations. Just run this Docker compose update, and it runs the application, instantiates everything that is required, including Kafka and Mongo, and then you're good to go. I also supplied a Postman documentation for you to understand my thinking. This is so I can actually run this set of requests, and this is an example. So when you go through this, you will see these examples in the documentation. What else? So I could just quickly give you a demo by running the application. Thank you for your time. Okay, one is running at the moment, but I could power it down. Let me power it down so that you can appreciate what I'm talking about. So this makes it easy, stopping all the services. The Docker compose file, which I will show you also, you'll see the way the services work together. Now this is stopping. While that is happening, okay, everything is stopped now. So the interaction is such that the Kafka UI now will be empty, and the Mongo also will be empty. So when I start, and then I think the this also should be empty. Okay, because the service is down. So when I run my Docker compose, like I advised in my, do I need to build? Let's say if it's in the code, I don't think I have. So this is just in case there are new updated files in the app. So when this runs, I can also visualize this through my Docker desktop, which is quite fantastic. And what this does to me is to let me see that all my services are running perfectly. Now, when all these are started right now, which I can proceed to first of all look at Docker compose, Docker desktop, that everything is running. 7 services. Okay. Something is giving up here. I hope it's not the Mongo Express, which is most likely, I assume, but that's fine. If that does not work, I can just go to the I think Kafka interface. This should work. Something is wrong, but unfortunately. Okay, I think they are working fine now. Okay, so I could do this. Rock, go, fantastic. This is working now, the Mongo. I can see the accounts, no accounts yet. Transactions, no transactions yet. And then I can look at this, and my topics are here. Fund transfer, for example, they have 0 messages. Now, I could go to what else? Something is left. Okay, let me just do this, for example. Let me test if maybe create an account. Now this account is created. I can check that here in the Mongo. So the obasoft.com is created, and what else? Okay, I can create another account. Let me see. Refresh this. So I have 2 accounts created for testing purposes, and then I can now let's say transfer without putting money there. Let me see. Token expired, so I don't have a token, or token there is expired, so I can log in. Now I have my token. Now I can do my transfer again. Insufficient balance because I have not funded the account. Now I can fund the account. This goes through. Funding the account here creates a transaction. So if you look here, you have a transaction here. I've sent money to myself, this amount. And then if I look at Kafka, the message should be there, I think. Fantastic. So this is the message. This was sent by myself to myself. And I think if I look at the consumer app, you can see it has consumed the message. So that's, I could go on and on and on, but this without any stress. You could just run Docker Compose update and check out the application. Everything is there for you. You don't have to do anything. Just run it, clone the application, clone the what is it called, the repo. Just follow these instructions for Docker. I mean, as a matter of fact, for Docker, I don't think you need to install anything. Just, and then look at this Postman documentation. But of course, you need to. What I did here is to put my what's it called? To use an environment for my for my variables, the base URL, and I think the token. So that's all over from me. I could do more, but thank you for listening, and God bless.